What would you do if the only time your family needed you was after they abandoned you when you were fighting cancer alone? Imagine being 27 years old, hearing the word cancer, calling your mother in fear, and being told, "Can this wait? It's bad timing." Bad timing? But 2 years later, when the same parents who ignored your chemo, your surgery, your tears suddenly call you crying and say, "We're family, we need you," would you go back? Would you forgive? Or would you finally choose yourself? This isn't just a story about illness. It's about abandonment. It's about boundaries. And it's about what happens when the strong child stops sacrificing. Stay till the end, because the confrontation will leave you speechless. And if stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support is pure love, and it keeps these stories alive. Now let me tell you what really happened. My name is Elena Brooks. I'm 29 years old. Last month, my mother called me crying. It was the first time in my life I had ever heard her cry like that. Not the dramatic sighs she used when she wanted sympathy, not the soft sniffles during sad movies. This was different. Her voice was shaking, small, almost frightened. 2 years ago, I called her crying too. The difference? When I needed her, she told me, "This isn't a good time." When she needed me, she expected me to forget she ever said that. Before I go further, if you end up connecting with this story, like the video and subscribe, but only if it truly resonates. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I always read them. It reminds me that none of us are really alone. 2 years ago, I was living in Chicago. Small apartment, 3rd floor, no elevator. The kind of place where the radiator hisses all winter and you pretend that's charming. I was working as a junior architect. Long hours, big dreams. I had just been assigned to my first major project, a public library renovation. It felt like everything I had worked for was finally beginning. And then one Tuesday morning, my doctor called. I knew something was wrong because doctors don't personally call when everything is fine. "Your test results came back," she said carefully. "We need to talk about treatment options." Treatment options. Not vitamins, not rest. Treatment. Stage 2 ovarian cancer. I remember staring at my kitchen counter while she explained survival rates and surgical timelines. There was a mug in front of me that said, "Create your own future." I thought that was ironic. I was 27, healthy. I ran half marathons. I meal prepped quinoa bowls like my life depended on it. Cancer wasn't part of the plan. After I hung up, I sat on the floor for a long time. The fridge hummed. A car alarm went off somewhere outside. The world kept moving like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. The first person I called was my mother. Because no matter how old you get, when you're scared, you still want your mom. She answered on the 3rd ring. "Elena, I'm at brunch. Can this wait?" "I have cancer," I said. Just like that. No buildup, no cushioning. Silence. Then a sigh. "Oh, honey, are you sure? They're wrong about these things all the time." "I'm sure." Another pause. "Well, this is just really bad timing." Bad timing. I'll never forget those 2 words. My younger sister Marissa was getting married in 3 months. Destination wedding, Tuscany. My parents had been planning it like it was a royal coronation. "It's just," my mom continued, lowering her voice like she didn't want her friends overhearing. "We've put so much into this wedding. Emotionally, financially. Your father is already stressed. Can we not make this bigger than it has to be right now?" Not make it bigger. I had cancer. "I need surgery," I whispered. "Soon." "Well, schedule it after the wedding if you can. You don't want to ruin your sister's moment." Ruin. As if my diagnosis were a dramatic announcement at the reception. I don't remember how that call ended. I just remember staring at my reflection in the microwave door and realizing something very important. I was alone. Surgery was scheduled for 6 weeks later, the earliest available date. I didn't tell anyone else in my family. If my mother didn't think it was urgent, why would the rest of them? My father never called. My sister texted me about bridesmaid dresses. I never told her I wouldn't have ovaries by the time she walked down the aisle. The day of my surgery, I took an Uber to the hospital. The driver tried to make small talk. "Big day?" he asked. "Something like that," I said. In the waiting room, families sat in clusters, husbands holding hands, parents whispering reassurance. I signed my own paperwork. The nurse asked, "Is anyone joining you today?" "No," I said. She hesitated, then squeezed my shoulder. That small gesture meant more than anything my family had said. The surgery was successful. They removed the tumor. They removed parts of me I hadn't even had time to say goodbye to. When I woke up, groggy and in pain, I checked my phone. One message. From my mother. Don't forget to RSVP for the rehearsal dinner. I stared at it until the screen went dark. Chemo started a month later. 8 rounds. 4 months. Hair loss, nausea, fatigue that felt like drowning. I FaceTimed my sister once during that time. She was trying on wedding shoes. You look tired, she said. I am. You should really try to smile more. The negative energy isn't good for healing. Negative energy. I ended the call after 3 minutes. The wedding happened in October. I didn't go. I couldn't. I was in the middle of chemo, balled under a scarf, barely able to climb stairs without shaking. My mother sent me photos. Wish you were here, the caption said. I screenshotted that too. Because somewhere along the way, I started keeping proof. Proof that I wasn't imagining this. Proof that I wasn't dramatic. Proof that when I needed them, they chose something else. 6 months later, I finished treatment. 1 year later, I was in remission. The day my oncologist said there's no evidence of disease, I walked outside the hospital and laughed. Not because it was funny, because I had survived something alone that should never be faced alone. And something inside me had hardened. Not into bitterness, into clarity. I moved apartments, got promoted, started therapy, cut my hair short, and kept it that way. I built a life that didn't include waiting for my family to show up. And then last month, my mother called, crying. Your father had suffered a stroke. Partial paralysis, speech affected. They needed help. Marissa had just had a baby. You know how exhausting that is, my mom said. Your father can't drive. I can't lift him alone. We thought maybe you could come home for a while. Come home. Like I hadn't needed a home 2 years ago. Like they hadn't told my illness was inconvenient. Elena, she said, her voice breaking. We're family. Family. It's amazing how that word only appears when someone wants something. I drove down that Sunday. Not because I owed them. Because I needed closure. My father looked smaller in his recliner. One side of his face slack, his eyes filled with something that might have been regret. Elena, he slurred. I waited. I'm proud of you. It was the first time he'd ever said that. It landed too late. My mother started explaining schedules, doctor appointments, physical therapy, medication charts. We need you, she said. I listened. Then I asked one question. When I had cancer, did you need me? Silence. My sister looked at the floor. My mother blinked rapidly. That was different, she said softly. No, it wasn't. Pain is pain. Fear is fear. Loneliness is loneliness. I almost died, I said. And you told me it was bad timing. Tears slid down my mother's face. We didn't think it was that serious. You didn't ask. That was the truth. They didn't ask. They assumed I'd handle it. And I did. I walked over to my father. He reached for my hand with his good one. Elena, sorry. It was broken and slurred, but it was real. And that's what made it hard. Because apologies don't erase abandonment. They just acknowledge it. My mother looked at me like she was waiting for forgiveness to spill out automatically. It didn't. Instead, I said something calm, something steady. I can't move back. Her face fell. But I'll help you find professional care. I'll contribute financially. I'll visit. I won't disappear the way you did. Boundaries aren't revenge. They're protection. I wasn't punishing them. I was refusing to abandon myself again. My mother cried harder. You've changed, she whispered. Yes, I said. I had to. I left that evening lighter than I arrived. Because for the first time, I wasn't begging to be chosen. I was choosing myself. It's been 4 weeks. We hired a part-time nurse. I visit twice a month. My father squeezes my hand every time like he's afraid I'll vanish. Maybe he understands now what it feels like. Maybe he doesn't. Either way, I survived. Not just cancer, but the realization that love isn't automatic just because you share blood. If you're watching this and you're the one who was told your pain was inconvenient, if you were the strong one, the independent one, the one who could handle it, I see you. Strength isn't an excuse for abandonment, and independence shouldn't be forced on you when you're begging for support. You are allowed to remember. You are allowed to set limits. You are allowed to say, I won't hurt myself to make you comfortable. And if one day the people who ignored you come back needing what they once refused to give, you're allowed to answer with honesty, not cruelty,
not vengeance, just truth. My name is Alina. I'm 29. I survived cancer, and I learned that family isn't who shares your last name. It's who shows up when your world is falling apart. If this story felt familiar, tell me in the comments. And if you're still healing from something your family pretends never happened, I hope you know this. You're not too much. You weren't dramatic. And it wasn't just bad timing. Take care of yourself. No one else will do it better than you.